to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper.
My Lords, Ofwat monitors the financial position of water companies, taking action when companies need to strengthen financial resilience. Ofwat strengthened its powers to improve financial resilience, including requiring water companies to stop paying dividends where financial resilience is compromised and preventing customers funding executive bonuses where companies do not meet performance expectations. Our water bill will put water companies under tough special measures by strengthening regulation as a first legislative step towards improving the sector.
Well, Lords, I welcome the Minister to her post, but let me illustrate the problems by referring to Thames Water. Its shares are worthless, its bonds are close to junk status, 38% of its revenues service £18 billion of its debt. Based on the debt-asset ratio, Thames has a gearing of 80.6%. Ofwat target is 55%. The debt-equity ratio used by credit rating agencies gives it a gearing ratio of 1,000%. No amount of regulatory tinkering can here change the fundamentals. The government needs to create some certainty by nationalising it. So can the Minister tell us when that will happen, please?
I thank my noble friend for his very warm welcome. However, the government has no plans to nationalise Thames Water. The reason for this is that it would cost billions of pounds and take years to unpick the current ownership model, during which time underinvestment in infrastructure and sewage pollution would only get worse. What we want to achieve here is to improve the situation that we find ourselves in the water industry as quickly as possible.
My Lords, whilst welcoming the noble lady to the front bench, could the Minister accept that simply fining the water companies for not meeting their obligations just adds to the costs of the consumer? And until we do, as we have done with health and safety, which is to make the directors personally liable, we will make no progress. Have the government any plans to do this?
So the Water Special Measures Bill that we will be bringing in front of your Lordships shortly is going to deliver on our manifesto commitment, and as well as strengthening regulation, it is designed to make sure that the water industry will be fundamentally changed and transformed. And it will ensure that water company bosses are not rewarded with bonuses if a serious environmental breach is committed. It will also strengthen and enhance the ability of regulators to bring robust charges against water companies and executives when they've committed offences, including through automatic and severe fines. And it will also require that water companies install real-time monitors so we can actually see what's going on. But also, I'd like to reassure the noble lord, this is just a start.
Website refers to an 88 billion programme of investment that is going to go into the infrastructure, and it describes this, and I quote, as initially funded by shareholders and through borrowing, with these costs then recovered from consumers over 5 years and beyond. Does the noble lady, the Minister, have any concern as to whether they will actually raise that money? And does she share my concern about the financial resilience of consumers to pay for it over time?
As the noble lord quite rightly says, Ofwat has set out a record £88 billion upgrade in order that we can deliver the cleaner rivers and seas and better services for customers that we need to see. It absolutely isn't the right that the public should pay the price for years of mismanagement in the water sector, and any water bill rises are the result of these years of failure. But it's really important that we don't put too much onto vulnerable customers. So officials are currently exploring options for improving affordability measures in the sector.
Fit for purpose.
At the moment, we're working very closely with the regulators, including Ofwat, to ensure that they are fit for purpose and can deliver what's needed in the sector.
My Lord,
Lord Attlee's question. I speak as a former non-executive director of Ofwat for a few months and for several years a former non-executive director of the Environment Agency. Ofwat was always feeble. The Environment Agency has been rendered feeble by a cut in resources and asking the companies to do their own, to report on their own homework. My Lords, what is needed is a new, powerful regulator, a single regulator for the water sector. Do the government have plans, at least in the medium term, to move to that?
My Lords, at the moment we are working with Ofwat and the water companies in order to deliver change as quickly as possible. As I mentioned, the first thing we are doing is bringing in the Water Special Measures Bill to try and change the culture within the water companies, but we are going to be working on another water bill coming forward, and I look forward to working with all noble lords, including my noble friends, as to what that can contain in order to make the biggest difference to the current situation.
My Lords, Thames Water is in a precarious state, not only due to its financial position, but also due to the poor quality of drinking water and sewage treatment facilities. Is the government taking action to ensure that those living within the Thames Water area will have access to adequate and safe drinking water now and into the future, whilst it sorts out the financial issues?
Yeah.
There are no ways in which we would allow there not to be safe drinking water whilst this current situation, the financial situation, is going on. The Drinking Water Directive works extremely hard to ensure that we have safe water in this country, and although Thames clearly has financial issues, that should not be affected.
My Lords, I too welcome the noble lady to her new post. I'm sure she'll be superb. Could the noble lady tell the House how many water companies are currently financially resilient?
I'm sure the noble lady, I thank her very much for her undertaking, has seen the environmental performance assessment that's come out today, which reports that most companies continue to underperform and there continue to be a lot of concerns around this area. As to the specific question she asked, I'd like to write her with that proper information, just so I know that I'm accurate.
Lords, I also welcome the noble lady to her place. In response to the question from the noble Lord Sicker, she was very clear that the government does not intend to nationalise Thames Water. But as a point of clarification, could I just ask her to be clear with us also whether she is ruling out or admitting the possibility of special administration, which is contained in the current arrangements, and which is a means by which the shareholders and the debt holders who had lost money would be cleared out, and the company cleaned up, so to speak, for onward sale on a more robust financial basis. Is that contemplated by the government as a possible route?
Currently, the regulator is working with the company to look at the best way forward. At the moment, the company is looking for further investment.
My Lord, speaking as a not very confident or happy Thames Water customer, I was pleased to at least hear that I shall have possible drinking water going forward. Can I just say, though, that all water companies are using financial engineering to overstate their investment and capacity to pay dividends. They all capitalise part of their interest payments, which is frankly a highly imprudent policy and was a major reason for the collapse of Carillion. So is the government really content with that?
I would just suggest to my noble friend that there are clearly serious problems in the water industry that have been building up for a number of years. We are looking at all options and ways forward to improve the situation, and clearly modelling of how companies operate will be part of those discussions.
I'm also joining congratulating the noble Baroness on her appointment. Is it, picking up from the previous question, which is very much the point, is it not true that the shareholders of Thames Water and others have made extraordinary returns by financial engineering well in excess of what one would expect to make from a utility which should be low risk and low reward. In looking at the future structure, is the government going to put in place measures to prevent the over-return to shareholders by means of financial engineering and limit the upside so that utilities are run basically for their customers and not simply for those who've got them for short-term gain?
I think that's an extremely good point and was very, very well made. The problem is we should have had firm action from government to ensure that, that there was action taken much earlier to make sure that money was actually spent properly on fixing the system rather than paying dividends and bonuses to company shareholders and actually not looking at how the company was being financially operated in a way that worked for both customers and for the environment.
Fourth oral question.